Good morning, everyone, to the Committee on Economic Development Authority meeting from January 28, 2021. The first thing in our agenda is to call to order and to do the roll call.
Freda?
Here.
Clary?
Here.
Hamilton?
Here.
Hardy? Maldonado?
Here. Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Thank you, Joyce. Next, we move to the approval of the minutes from the December 10 meeting. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any question, discussion about the minutes?
Like a second.
What, Andy? Oh, someone second?
I said I would second it.
Okay. Any question or discussions? Okay, all those in favor of the minutes, December 10 minutes, say aye.
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 Nays, the motion carried. Next, we move to the public appearances for non-agenda items. Do we have anyone on the chamber, on phone, online? No. Okay. So next, we are going to move to, we don't have any resolution ordinance to approve today. So next is, we are going to talk about item number 6, wayfinding request for proposal. So, Mike, Joyce, I don't know who's
Joyce is going to provide that update on the project that we've been coordinating with Public Works.
Sure. We started this project a little while back with Zebra Dog to do wayfinding throughout the city of Fitchburg. You guys have the map that was put together with the directional signs. We are having Public Works do a request for proposal or quote that will be going out on, I believe, February 1st. And so we just wanted to let you know that this project was moving forward as it was part of the Forward Fitchburg Branding Initiative. So I guess once we get the quotes back in, I can just give you an update. Does anybody have any questions?
Joyce, this is Mark. I've got a comment and then I guess a question. One is, where these numbers are there going to be signs there? Is that part of this branding?
Let me just look at my, are you looking at the map?
Yes, I'm
Mark?
looking at the map.
Which one? The first map, those are key destinations.
Okay.
And then the
All right.
second map is key destinations and numbers. But then there's detailed maps of which have those locational signs on them that I didn't feel it was necessary to include that. I just wanted to let you guys know what we were including. As far as our destinations, we put a lot of work into this with Zebra Dog, as far as identifying what were key locations within the city that we wanted to identify.
Okay, well, let me just give you a piece of information you may want to circle back on. Steve Arnold presented at the Bike Fitchburg meeting Monday night some kind of green space proposal he has put together. He's given to Scott Endel that goes through the city identifying green places to bike and walk and do whatever. You may want to circle back to Scott and see what's going on with that, because the first I'd heard about it was last Monday night. So I don't have a presentation, but it was presented. And like I said, just circle back to Scott so we're not working at cross purposes inadvertently, that's all.
So Mark, just so you're aware, this is vehicular wayfinding. So this has nothing to do with the biking community.
Fine.
So
I stand corrected. Take it off the table.
No worries.
Okay, my question, Joyce, is so what is the budget for this? Do we have the money and
we have money in the CIP that we've had in there for several years, and that's why we would like to have this off the books.
Yeah, I
If
think
you
it's a good idea because, yeah, there are some parts, there are some, sign locations where we have the old logo and some we have the new logo
Right.
and some of, yeah, okay.
This is Julia. We built up the money so we could do the project all at once. And then the other thing was with the various road construction projects that we've had, we wanted to wait too for installation until those were complete.
Yeah, okay. So, but the idea, so that you have like a time frame here, I think it's the first page.
So, yeah, if you see that there's a timeline in there, I believe it will, fabrication will start in 2021 with
Okay.
some installation, and then the final installation will be 2023. And I believe that's due to the Lacey Road project, being delayed.
And the other thing that we need to do here too, and we need to think about is the annexation of the town of Madison, that we will need to do some signing there too, and maybe we need to also, to have an idea when we present the proposal, how much it's gonna cost, or to determine what are the other key locations in the town that they will need our, brands too.
I think, Julie, I would just suggest maybe that we look at that when it comes, because our funds are gonna be really tight to get
I
this
know,
project done.
But in the proposal, since, I don't know, you're gonna ask for a proposal. So maybe in the proposal, you can ask how much is gonna be to add like 10 signs.
No, Julia, this is already done. This is ready to go
Oh,
based
okay.
upon, we're just going out right now to the sign companies and saying, okay, we have everything ready to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
okay,
this is, I guess that would I would suggest that that's a phase 2, project. Cause I know at one time, Mike and I talked about even a monument sign or some type of gateway sign, over there. So I think that's a whole separate topic with Zebra
No,
Dog.
I know, but if we wait for phase 2, it's gonna be the year 23, and the annexation is gonna occur in 22. So I don't know. I am asking because last night we have a meeting for the town of Madison annexation in council, and this is another thing that maybe we need to put in the radar too. All this branding too. That's it.
We can add that to the list. Julia, this is for fabrication and installation of the comprehensive program
Yeah.
that Chris has worked on with Zebra Dog and Public Works with all the wording and the location of the signs. So there'll need to be some of that analysis done about what's needed there, where are the signs needed, what are the key areas that we're directing people.
Yeah.
So I think Joyce's approach with it being a second phase, because we'll probably have to get a little bit more influx of money to do that. We'll add it to the
Suggestion.
list.
One question or suggestion. I know you did the sign toppers that you put up on the border locations. If that might be a cheaper alternative in the interim.
Good idea, Andy.
For what? For what, Andy?
So if you go to any of the streets that enter into Fitchburg, the
Yeah.
actual the street name. So if you go
Yeah.
on Williamsburg Way, you notice there's a topper on some of those signs that just say
Yeah.
City of Fitchburg. So that
Yes.
might be an inexpensive way to at least get some of the branding out there without doing the full directional signs that could come
Okay.
later.
Yeah, okay. Any other question for this topic? No? Okay, so next, thank you, Joyce. We move to the business license. I don't know, we have any update, Mike?
We do.
Okay,
I'm gonna give the update on that. So,
okay,
we've had 2 internal meetings, to discuss, business license and data sharing. And the consensus of the group is we didn't feel that we needed to, add an actual license per se, because we feel as though that's another layer of enforcement, permitting, we just saw a whole host of issues with having a business license per se. So we all discussed the things that we actually gather for information. And we kind of went through that. And we had Matt, our IT director in the meeting too. And we talked about ways that we could do some data sharing. And so we are going to be meeting again. At that meeting, Amy Mercer wasn't able to join us, nor was the clerk's department. So we just want to follow up again. And it came all down to the fact that we have the ability to do these things, but it's who's going to maintain the data and where is it going to be maintained. So actually Matt had a really good suggestion, as did Joe. Matt said we have the capabilities of doing a lot of what we want to do through GIS. And this is where it comes to a policy decision. So it would be beneficial to fill either the GIS position or the position that Rich had, I believe it's prevention chief or something like that in the fire department, because he gathered a lot of the information and maintained the information, and he also could utilize GIS. So we did come up with some solutions to a perceived problem. So we're just going to continue meeting and having some internal discussions on maybe ways that we can do a better job of sharing data.
I think those positions are going to be moving forward with the town of Madison annexation. So,
okay. So that was, and we talked about, maybe this is the time where we talk internally,
yeah,
as a group, and maybe put together ways that we could utilize this position to make it more effective throughout all the departments.
Any question for Joyce? Comment? No?
I have a question for Scott. How come Dan Hardy is me?
I was you at the beginning.
Oh, you were me? Now Dan Hardy is Joyce Fry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Joyce, for some reason, everyone is you.
I love it.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. Next on the agenda is an update of the hotel room tax report. Mike?
No, we should have
our
business boost.
Our next update is the business.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I moved the page. It's the Forward Fitchburg Business Loan Program.
So I put together a memo to you, kind of just an overview of what Dan had mentioned last week, or last time we met. And we had 5 loans that were approved. We had 11 that were applied for, and for various reasons, they didn't meet, the others didn't meet the guidelines. The first payment is due on the 31st of January. I believe we had one group pay in December, and I believe we've already had one pay this month. So it's moving along.
And Joyce has set up a reminder email that'll automatically go out the middle of the month, just reminding people that their payments are due at the end of the month. Just a real quick and easy thing in the email queue.
Right, because if you recall in our guidelines, we won't be invoicing anybody. It's just kind of you need to remember that your payment is due. So as a courtesy, we set up an email group to just shoot out an email reminder.
Okay, my other question is, so I know that we transferred that money from one fund to another one, so we are moving back that money to the revolving loan fund?
Julia, that was one of the things that Mike and I kind of had an internal conversation about. We thought it might be beneficial just to wait a little bit to see how the vaccinations and things are moving along and how the numbers are looking here. Just in the event that we would want to bring the program back. Mike, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think if we could just wait a little bit before we move the money back, obviously, if we were gonna do something additional with the Biz Boost program, Julia, we would have to come back to the council for that, and for that authorization. But we just figured there's a lot of uncertainty yet, so let's just kind of leave it where it's at. And, we haven't had any inquiries about the traditional revolving loan fund, at this point in time, so I think we're okay.
Yeah, other thing that I would like to, if maybe you can put together like with 5 bullets, say what are the things that work in this loan, what are the things that we need to, what do you think that we have 11 candidates and then we, only 5 got the loan, where, so do we need to make some adjustment in the future if we want to, relaunch this loan program and, I don't know. I want to have a feedback from the team to see what are the things that you saw that maybe we need to improve or didn't work, or you know what I mean?
I can probably answer that in one word: grants. People were looking for grants. They weren't looking to take on more debt. Mm-hmm. So I think that was the biggest challenge. People didn't want to take on more debt. Mm-hmm. They wanted to go where there was, forgivable loans or grants. So I think at this point, like that was one of the reasons why we decided we should just wait and see what happens.
Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Dan, do you want to say something?
Yeah, the other thing, Julia, is I thought that the program was geared for small businesses. And the ones that were denied, for the most part, were exceeded the employees, they exceeded the revenues. There were businesses that had received grants in tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now they're looking for $10,000 from us. They just didn't fit the small business that we were trying to assist. I think when we started, we talked about, well, we need to put up a shield over the soda dispenser. That was the intent of the program, as I recall, when we started. And later on, it just got out of hand as to everybody was reaching for dollars no matter what. And as Joyce said, there was a great desire with all the grants and loan forgiveness programs out there. People weren't prepared to borrow the money even at 1% interest. So
with that knowledge of our shaping of the small business and us having to deny a few of them, is it something that if we were to redo this program again, is it something that we would still gear towards only small businesses, or will we relook at the qualifications to if we were to redo this program? Do you guys have any input on that?
I think what the issue for me is if I get $750,000, $800,000 in PPP funds from the federal government, how is the $10,000 from Fitchburg at a 1% loan? How is that going to assist me? How is that going to assist that business to stay viable in Fitchburg? Vis-a-vis going back to that original shield over the soda machine, that's going to cost us $5,000, and having other protective clothing or cleaning supplies to really help the small time businesses,
Got it.
which I thought, and so I don't think it make a lot of difference, Jennifer.
I have an idea to maybe like think about this. So how about maybe like a sliding scale of interest? So if you're above a certain size, like you pay a higher interest rate, and something like that could maybe even subsidize and create, you know, the possibility for some loan forgiveness for smaller businesses.
Well, I'm just going to comment, and you guys can take this for what it's worth. We're servicing these loans in-house, and I think the more complicated we make it, the more it's going to cost us. You know, we're already, you know, processing the documentation and collecting the fees, and I just think we need to keep it simple. And yes, Dan is absolutely right. The intent was to provide funds to relaunch and reopen a business, if my memory serves me correctly. It was, so that's just my thoughts.
Any other comment?
Yeah, just a comment. We've given away, or loaned, excuse me, a third of the money roughly, right? 48K. I'm looking at your note, Joyce.
Yes.
So I guess the only other question I would have kind of ties back to what Jennifer was talking about. How have other communities done the same thing, and what's worked with them? Do we want to do a little bit of a survey out there with your colleagues you check base with? And because I think you're right, Joyce. I talked to somebody who was looking for grants and not loans, but 1% is about as low as you can get, I think, without making it, you know, nothing. Just an observation.
I think we were one of the few communities that did offer a program, because I had, I know Mount Torab and I believe Verona.
Verona actually took some of their revolving loan fund money, and I think they turned it into a grant program in the end. Middleton had reached out to us, and they had gotten some questions from their council about some of their council members had heard that Fitchburg established a program, so they were asking why Middleton didn't have a program. And so Mike Davis had reached out to me to kind of understand the structure and the protocols of our program, and I think maybe they ended up developing one similar to ours in the end. I don't know the details of it though.
And another comment that I want to bring is that maybe if we relaunch the second program, maybe we should partner with the Fitchburg Chamber of Commerce to, you know, to manage the fund, to, you know, like if we, you know, like the idea that Joe mentioned about scale back some interest. Maybe we can partner with another organization to help us to manage the loans. Or, you know, I don't know, maybe
Julie, I was just gonna say, with this being city funds and CETA dollars and everything, I think Misty would want that kind of financial control and the processing of things to be maintained here in-house.
Yeah, I am saying that maybe we can collaborate with them. You know, I mean, I am not saying that they need to be in charge of, you know, but I don't know. I am looking for you know, other options. So okay. Any other comment? Who is there?
I have a question more. Are there businesses that we've seen in Fitchburg that have folded that, you know, if not for some sort of monetary boost, might have been able to survive the pandemic?
I will say the most affected businesses in Fitchburg are our restaurants. They are more visible.
That's this. Mike, do you have any insight on this?
I'm just trying to think of anybody that has closed specifically because of, and nobody comes to mind right away here.
Maybe the Fitchburg Chamber knows those?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would check with Angela on that, Mike.
yeah, I'll circle with Angela and see if she's aware of anybody. I'm just thinking about kind of the restaurants out there, and I don't think we've lost anybody yet. I know the restaurants were very appreciative on the patio permit extension there, especially when they were stuck at very limited capacity. That was a help to multiple ones that took advantage of that program. But I'll check with Angela, and I can report back at the next meeting and just see if there's some. I know when the last Dane County Public Health, or I can't remember if it was number 10, some people that were really frustrated with that order were the like the dance clubs and the swim clubs. They were frustrated that why couldn't they be included in that category to be able to operate at 10 or less. And we had shared their frustrations and some communications with Dane County, the exec's office and public health. And I know then in the last order, that then was opened up that they could, operate their classes if they were 10 or less and people were masked and there were the social distancing protocols. And then the dance schools and the swim clubs were also able to open up under those same parameters. One frustration we had was from a business in the town of Madison, future Fitchburg, and that was the Delta Beer Labs there. I know they were frustrated that there was a distinction between either a distillery or a brewery like that opening up and restaurants being able to operate. And I guess the distinction was if you didn't serve food, you couldn't open up at that 25% capacity. But I think Pio over there now is serving pizzas and some other food. So I think they have opened up now Delta Beer Labs. But there was just some inconsistencies across similar type entities or businesses, but it seems like some of that got cleaned up with Public Health Order number 12.
And Mike, I think there's two things you can to answer your question. Did that restaurant up there by where the old BP station used to be ever open up?
Oh, Pancake Cafe?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack in building inspection and I just had that conversation, and Jack was going to check on that for me as he's up there, because we're not sure if they're open limited or if they're doing any kind of takeout or delivery. So we were going to
just
check
didn't
in with
look
them.
open to me, and that's why I'm saying things that got impacted. To answer Julio's question, the other one is the movie theater definitely closed.
Right. Yeah, and that one involves New Vision, who is the operator. They actually went bankrupt, but then the court ruled that the previous operator, AMC, could take back over operation of those screens. So we're waiting to hear from AMC of when they can take back over. There's supposed to be a date where they can take back over operation, and then what might be their reopening plan. But we haven't heard anything back from them yet. But we do have contacts with AMC, because I reached out to them after the judge issued the ruling that they could take back those screens.
But, we have other businesses that they are, like Pump It Up closed, Breakaway is closed, so we are losing, my concern is we are losing some amenities that they are very important in our community, like because they are activities to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hey,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. My question, the intention of my question was more to think about the impact and the difference that the loan makes. And more so getting at, like, if the loan was larger, if the loan was a grant, whatever, if we had resources from somewhere else that we could supplement it with, would that have made a difference in any of these closed businesses closing. I mean, AMC is huge, so I doubt 10,000 would have made a difference, but I'm just wondering if that was the case in any of these closed businesses.
I don't know if pumping up, if it would have made a difference for them or not. They were one that did close. Then I know Breakaway had reached out to us, and they were shut down completely because they couldn't have any kind of leagues or classes and anything there. They had asked for some flexibility from a zoning standpoint to be able to maybe lease out their space to some other uses, even like warehouse distribution. But that didn't work from a zoning standpoint. We don't necessarily do temporary zoning here with the permanent zoning that's in place that didn't allow some of the uses that they had asked about. But that was a unique inquiry that we had gotten from them, and as they tried to look at, what do they do with their facility when they really can't operate their business model.
Okay, so we are moving to the next item. Hotel room tax report, Mike or Joyce,
And,
I don't know.
The only report there is that the fourth quarter room tax is due Sunday. I think it's Sunday, January 31st. So we'll have an update for you in February, March, as far as how those numbers came in at. I don't think it's gonna, I think it will be bleak. We were down 70% in the third quarter of 2020, so I don't think the fourth quarter is gonna be any better, but we're waiting for those numbers to come in at the end of the month here.
Okay, thank you. So next, we have an update from the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative, and City Planner Wade Thompson is gonna give us a brief about the North Fish Hatchery, the hub updates, and then the Healthy Neighborhood Grant Guidelines modifications. So Wade, where are you? Oh, there. Okay.
Morning, Sita. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Morning, Wade.
Great. I will share my screen. All right, can folks see a PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay, yeah, so just here today to give Sita a quick update on the HNI. Specifically, we'll talk about the hub in the North Fish Hatchery Road neighborhood. Then I'll also talk a bit about modifications to our 2021 HNI grant program. So again, just folks all know what the HNI is all about, but just a quick recap. Again, when we talk healthy neighborhoods, we're talking equity, diversity, and stability in our neighborhoods to really, again, bring out that idea of social, economic, and environmental health. Again, just to familiarize folks with our three neighborhoods, all in the northern tier of Fitchburg, moving west to east, the Verona Road neighborhood, just to the west of Verona Road, the Belmar Renaissance on the Park area, kind of the traditionally known as Allied Drive area, just on the other side of Verona Road. And then the neighborhood we'll talk more about today, the North Fish Hatchery Road neighborhood. So again, our HNI is dictated by our strategic plan. We do have very specific action items to help implement the HNI. That plan was adopted in 2019. And again, when we talk about the plan, we're really talking about what I call the 4 Ps of people, programs, and places, and then those all working together to really manifest in various partnerships with businesses, with residents, and with nonprofit organizations. Let's talk about a place in the North Fish Hatchery Road neighborhood, our hub. Again, we did a really thorough update on this in April with CETA, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on the hub plan. I think folks are pretty familiar with that. I think I want to talk a little bit about the plan, but then talk about what comes next. And we did get a deliverable of that concept plan in the packet for today, so hopefully folks have had a chance to see that final concept plan. That's kind of the culmination of about a year's plus worth of work. But again, the hub, we're talking about a 3.5 acre site in the heart of our neighborhood, both city and private holdings. In terms of project goals, I would identify 2 main goals. The first is meeting the social and recreational and resource needs of our residents, as well as attracting the broader community to the hub. And the second goal would be to serve as a stabilizing catalyst, spurring new investment and enhancing property values in the neighborhood without displacing current residents. So in terms of how we engaged around the hub, again, it was very grassroots, very organic. We try to meet neighborhood residents in places where they frequent. So we really got out in the neighborhood and try to get feedback on what the hub should look like. We utilize our neighborhood navigators, Carmen and Elizabeth, to help us, again, engage with residents. So again, on the right there are the things we heard in terms of feedback for the hub. So basically, outdoor amenities, indoor amenities, and services. And again, for traditionally underserved neighborhoods, the laundry list there you see is not surprising, but it was good to get that quantified through some formal engagement processes. So again, this is kind of the hub as currently construed in concept. Again, I think folks have seen this quite a few times. So we're talking essentially two phases, two big pieces to the hub. North side of Traceway is our phase one. That's the blue area there. Really, I would categorize that as a really enhanced park space. Lots of really cool, unique recreational and social gathering opportunities. And we'll talk about some of those in a bit. The south side of Traceway, that's the orange color there. That's our phase two. That's again this idea of a large scale, large footprint neighborhood community center. So we'll talk a little bit more about those two pieces. Again, this is the phase one, north side of Traceway. We're on this image is on Traceway Drive looking north. Again, very rec focused, social gathering focused, playgrounds, hardcore covered areas, places for farmers markets, festivals, a really cool park shelter with not just your traditional park shelter, but area, community rooms, community spaces, likely a potential food and drink concession, areas for city staff. So again, a really cool park space, probably at a scale that Fitchburg has not currently undertaken. So we're pretty excited about that. This is looking the other way from the north side of Traceway. One thing I didn't just mention in terms of a feature is a bike feature. So you see this bike pump track here. So we definitely want to work towards a bike feature at the hub to kind of play on the city's identity as a bike city. I do want to point out that a lot of the elements you see in this concept are, again, just that, concepts. We will refine this design over the next 6 to 9 months. So some of the things you see on this screen, might change or get tweaked. But again, the general concept will remain as we've discussed. So this is the phase two, south side of Traceway. Again, kind of a traditional large footprint neighborhood center. The comparison I use is if folks are familiar with the building on South Park Street that houses the Urban League, as well as the City of Madison Library branch. I think that's a good comparison in my mind. I think the idea is a city-owned facility, potentially a third-party building property manager, but space for city staff, space for the community in terms of meeting rooms, classrooms, those sorts of things. And then also space for third-party nonprofit groups that are currently working in the neighborhood or want to work in the neighborhood. And I think with that presence there as well, we'd be talking about likely revenues for the city in terms of rents. So in terms of next steps, again, that's kind of all, looking forward. We are currently in the process of contracting with a consultant to do that next step of a final design. So we hopefully will have that contract executed per council approval in the next couple months. That consultant will then again work for that final design, really engage with stakeholders, the neighborhood, to really fine tune those hub puzzle pieces that we just talked about. Once we have that design concept ironed out with the appropriate city approvals, we will then break ground on phase one. So if not fall of this year, spring of 2022, again, we will begin construction of phase one. So we do currently have money from the city budget to do that final design and construction of phase one. I guess it says exiting parkland dedication funds. That should say existing parkland dedication funds.
Oh,
So,
you scared me.
That was a early morning edit, so I guess I missed my S there. But so I guess the point I want to make there is, we're using existing city funds for this phase one. We have this nice pool of parkland dedication funds that we were waiting for a good project to use them on, and we now have that. So that's an encouraging thing. Also to that point, staff is going to seek out grant opportunities. So whatever monies we can seek from third parties and then put the city money back into city coffers, city staff will attempt to do that. We have at least three grants in mind that we'd like to apply for, and I think we'd be competitive for all three of those. And then obviously there'll be other funding sources that come up, in the next year or two that we could also tap into. In terms of phase two, again, that was phase one. Phase two, we're talking again the south side of Traceway Drive, that larger footprint neighborhood center. That is a few years out. My understanding is that currently is in our 5-year or our 10-year CIP plan, our capital improvement plan. But prior to any construction of that, the city would undertake what we're calling an operational management study or analysis to really figure out, okay, who's going to manage it, what our likely tenants going to look like, what kind of rents would those likely tenants pay, really understanding, again, the dynamics and the financials of a building of that scale. And then once we have that analysis, everyone's comfortable with how it will be operated, how it will be managed, we would then talk about, budgeting for construction and beginning that final design as well. Again, in terms of where money would come from for that, I think there will be parkland dedication dollars that will be, used towards that. And then obviously and this may not be the right term, I'm not a budget person, but, just the general city funds. Just like in phase one, staff will do our best to seek out grant opportunities, again, to really support this with some external sources as well. And then, I'll get final point there too. I think there will be funding sources, I hope, that will come out of the woodwork, so to speak, once we move forward with some of these designs and concepts. To that point, I just want to end on this with the hub. I think for up to this point, the hub has been really dependent on partnerships, and we've nurtured and built those, and we want to maintain those and build new ones. One thing we're thinking about at the hub in the phase one on the north side is a ice rink in the winter. So I have been kind of touring the region and looking at other ice rinks in the area and kind of what they're doing with their ice rinks and how they're setting them up. This is actually a picture of a recent development in Monona, just off Broadway Drive. And they do have a nice new mixed-use development there with adjacent park space. And what you see in the image is that adjacent park space. So that's the ice rink. That's Monona owned. I just want to point out, if you look at the rink rules, you'll see that the rink is sponsored by Monona Bank. So, just up to this point, I have had some just real general ambiguous conversations with members of our business community about the hub. I think folks are generally excited about it. They want to know how they can support it, how they can help advance the city's goals. So certainly if at some point CETA is interested in kind of talking about a strategic approach to potentially approach our city businesses and talk about ways they can, if they're interested in supporting the hub, I certainly am open to that discussion and honestly would look forward to that. So I think with that, I will maybe stop there. That's kind of our hub update. I can take any questions or comments, and then I can get into our grant program after we wrap up the hub discussion.
And Wade, this is Mark. You might want to mention our discussion with Madison about the Leopold bike parks and connections, that meeting we had.
Yep. So I mentioned kind of this bike feature. So we developed this hub, we began this hub planning literally years ago, probably about 2 years ago. At that time, we were planning for this idea of a pump track, which was a unique feature in the region. Again, we thought it played up on the city's bike identity. Since we developed that concept, the city of Madison also has understood the value of kind of bike amenities in parks, and they've been able to move a little bit quicker than us. And they are actually planning for a full-on, what they're calling a bike park. So kind of a park focused on biking, all sorts of different biking activities at Leopold Park, which is just northwest of the hub in the city of Madison. So Fitchburg staff has been in correspondence with Madison staff. We know what they're up to. Initially, we talked about maybe a different type of pump track here that would not duplicate, but complement what Madison's doing at their park. I think as we really thought about that, we just became really skeptical of a pump track here. We thought it would duplicate what Madison is planning. So I guess the point here is that we do want to retain a bike feature, but I think the bike feature will evolve into something different than a pump track. We have some ideas about that. We're not quite there yet, but I think we'll come up with a really unique bike feature that, again, will draw people to the site and enhances our bike city identity. And then, to Mark's point, I think whatever we do here, if we can complement what Madison's doing at their bike park, and vice versa, they complement us. I think we could really have this cool kind of complex of bike parks and bike park amenities in a very close proximity. And then, also think about ways we can connect those two sites if people want to go back and forth, in terms of biking park-related activities. So, did that answer your question, Mark, or was that what you were looking for? Okay.
I think that's good. I think that tells the committee we're flexible. And again, we're trying to build something for all ages, not just a younger group versus an older group. So no, I think, but I think they need to know about it because they're going to hear when something starts going on that north side of Leopold's school grounds. So
Right. Yep.
Thanks.
Any other thoughts or questions on the hub thus far? All right. So moving into grant program.
Wait.
Yep.
It's Joyce. Would
Sure.
you mind sending me that PowerPoint so I can share it with the committee, please?
Yep, I will do that.
Great, thank you.
So grant program, again, this, I think CETA is generally familiar with the grant program. It actually started with CETA about 4 or 5 years ago now. Time's kind of flying with the grant program, but yeah, we're on 2021. I think our 4th or 5th year here. I've had the program for about 3 years. The way I look at it is continuous program improvement. Obviously the grant program was new to the city and, was new to staff. So again, it's a work in progress, and certainly every year we want to build it up and make it a better program. So this, again, is just another round of modifications this year. Basically 2 modifications I'll talk about. They were recommended by our H&I grant committee to our council, and our council did approve them, I guess earlier in the year. So with those modifications approved, I'm now ready as the program administrator to open up the application cycle for this year. I did just do that January 19th. We leave that cycle open for about a month. We'll get all those applications. City staff will review them. Our grant committee will review them. We'll both make recommendations to our council. And then I think March-ish, our council will make those funding awards, and we'll have our 2021 grant projects initiated. So in terms of the proposed modifications that were actually approved, so I guess not proposed anymore. The first one was to increase the project award maximum to $15,000 from $10,000, and to generally work towards those distribution of max awards. So in terms of rationale for that change, a few things. I think just big picture, generally speaking, increasing a project award amount would obviously increase the capacity of a project, and therefore the benefit to the city. So I think that's just a matter of project scale and capacity. The second point is, when the program was initially started, there was, generally speaking, about a $50,000 allocation annually to the city, or by the city to the program. So if with a max award of $10,000, that equated to about 4 to 5 projects per year. In recent years, that annual allocation from the city has grown, which I think is a great thing. That shows, the city likes this program and wants to continue to grow it. But the annual allocations have averaged more, I would say, from $60,000 to $70,000. So, if you look at that ratio of scaling up the allotment, if we scale up the max awards, that equates again to that nice sweet spot of about 4 to 5 projects funded per year. And then I guess finally a technical point kind of related to that, just from a staff capacity perspective, managing the grant program is one of many hats I wear in the city, and I gladly wear it. But there is a capacity limit too with my workload, and I think that this year I'm managing, I think, eight grant projects. Again, with that max award being up a little bit, I think we'll reel back into that more manageable workload of 4 to 5 projects per year. So that's change one. Change two is more of a, I guess, kind of a structural change in terms of the program. And that is to refine the grant program focus areas to essentially 5 categories: youth mentoring, youth education, adult education, workforce development, food security, and then finally kind of a catch-all of neighborhood / community building and engagement. So that's kind of on the top of your screen there. The bottom white box talks about what our former focus areas were. And again, I kind of inherited the program. I think these focus areas were a great, for the initial focus areas, were a good first start for a new program. But as we evolved and grow and improve the program, I thought it made sense to rethink the focus areas. You know, generally speaking, I think the former focus areas were a bit ambiguous, and in my opinion, not necessarily aligned with the prominent needs that we're seeing in our neighborhoods. So basically what we did is we looked at data, neighborhood data, we looked at previous program applications, and we looked at feedback from the neighborhood, and then we proposed those refined focus areas that I just mentioned. I do also want to point out, you know, the letter E there, again, I think is kind of a catch-all. I know there was some concern about, you know, the former focus areas. We talk about a senior focus area, and there was some concern that if we do these new focus areas, are we going to lose, you know, some of these other areas that we traditionally focused on? The answer is no. You know, I think a senior application could still apply, and a senior focus application could still apply and still get funded under our kind of our letter E focus area. You know, just as an example, I believe we've had 3 senior focused applications in my time of managing the program. We funded 2 of them. I see no reason why with these new focus, if these new focus areas were in place then, I see no reason why those 2 senior applications wouldn't have been funded. So just a kind of an anecdote there about, you know, transitioning former focus areas to new focus areas. And I think staff and the committee felt really good about refining those focus areas. So with that, again, those are kind of the 2 main modifications for the program this year. Again, our application cycle is open. I did send out an email to the interested parties, but certainly if anyone on the committee here knows of folks that might be interested in applying, let me know, and I can certainly pass on information. And we're looking again at an application deadline of February 22nd this year. So with that, I can take any questions or comments.
Wayne, this is Mark. Wade, what's food security?
Food pantries, hunger.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, and actually those have been some of our we've gotten quite a few applications in that, under that area. And honestly, I think some of our better projects have kind of come from that food issue. And obviously,
I volunteered at the Badger Food. I'm all for it. I just didn't know what you meant by food security. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think, you know, and we're just, and especially with the pandemic, you know, it's becoming, you know, I watch the news and it's every other day there's something on, you know, food pantry expansion or, so yeah, it's becoming an even more prominent issue. Yep.
Thank you.
I have a question. So far, have you received any calls from not-for-profit organization for this new cycle of grant?
Yeah, I mean, just anecdotally, I got feedback from someone we funded in the past, and I think we'll apply again, complimenting us on our streamlined processes. So, you know, just kind of some general positive feedback. I did get an inquiry about just, you know, some application technical questions. You know, I think generally speaking, this is, again, the 4th or 5th year. You know, the folks know the program's out there. They know our requirements. You know, again, we're pretty streamlined. So I haven't heard a lot, but I don't take that as a negative at all. I think that just means that we've done a good job in eliminating, you know, opportunities for confusion or for questions. So.
Okay. Any other question for Wade? No? Okay, thank you, Wade.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so next our agenda is item 11, and is Economic Development Director and Committee Member Reports. So Mike.
Sure, just a couple of development updates for you. We continue to work with Quick Trip on the proposed store for the corner of East Sherrill Parkway and Sain Road. That'll be a 2022 construction build over there. That'll be timed with the upgrade and reconstruction to Sain Road from Clayton Road down south to Lacey Road. We're working with them on that particular site. We've got multiple senior housing developers that either have some projects that they're proposing or we're trying to find a home for. There's one group that there will be a proposal on the February Plan Commission for a group called River Song. This would be in the Terra Vesa development, and that senior housing will have the full continuum of living and care with independent, assisted, and memory care. And then we're working with another developer that wants to do assisted living and memory care. We're trying to find them a home here in Fitchburg and have been kind of evaluating multiple sites for them. With regards to, we've got the preliminary findings and analysis for the stormwater study. This is at the intersection of Seminole Highway and Lacey Road around that big sub-zero stormwater pond there. So we've been working with a private consultant, and our Public Works Department has seen the analysis and draft recommendations. We already did a Zoom call with our friends at Edgewood College to share some of the findings and recommendations. And then next week, we're doing another Zoom call with them and the O'Briens to give them the same update. That stormwater analysis report, I think, Huli, you've got them scheduled to come to the committee of the whole meeting in February to kind of give an overview of the analysis and the draft recommendations there. You might have heard that the Myers proposal that was looking at the quarry site across from Super Target over the holidays, we heard from them that their executive committee had decided not to proceed with the Superstore and C-Store at that site. It sounds like there was too many risks and uncertainty with regards to not only the impact of COVID, but the cost, both private and public, for that site at this time. So they withdrew their offer to purchase on that property. But we'll stay in contact with them. They still are saying that they'd like to enter the greater Madison market at the right place, at the right time, at the right price. They also did not move forward with their Sun Prairie proposal as well. The iHeart property over here at the corner of Lacey Road and South Fish Hatchery Road continues to get lots of interest. In our future land use plan, that is designated as low density residential. We've indicated to both iHeart and the listing brokers that we'd be open to looking at a minor comp plan amendment to that property, but we didn't necessarily want to change it to just all high density multifamily rental housing there. It seems to be priced at that kind of development concept. So we've had multiple inquiries, and we're trying to kind of evaluate those concepts to come up with something that meets their needs, but also meets kind of the city's goals at that corner. So I'll keep you posted on that one as we make some progress. Hy-Vee is coming forward with a permanent structure out in their parking lot for their Aisles Online program. Right now, there's some shipping containers out there. So on the February Plan Commission, they will be up for approval for a permanent structure. If you've been by Seminole and Lacey lately, you see the infrastructure going in for the O'Brien Solar Fields project on the west side of Seminole Highway. I think the panels are already up on that side. And then on the east side, the posts and the other infrastructure is going up. But I think this summer is when, either late spring or early summer is when that will start to go live. Housing continues to be robust with single family starts here. Terra Vesa is already moving forward with phase 2. We've got Fahey Fields, which will be starting phase 5. And then Crescent Crossing, the one at Seminole and Lacey, is part of the Stoner Prairie development, already has multiple foundations in, and they'll be coming forward with phase 2. So there's really good demand out there, and we're trying to make sure we keep that lot inventory going here. Tonight there's a neighborhood meeting that Payne and Dolan is hosting. there's some land at the corner of Fitchburg and Lacey Road on the south side that is in the urban service area. And they're doing a neighborhood meeting tonight for that particular area that they would propose doing, I think it's 99 single-family lots and then 30 duplex lots over there. So that could be potentially another new neighborhood that would be coming in the queue for us. The next Housing Advisory Committee meeting is Monday, March 8th. There's a public information meeting tonight at 6:30 for the intersection and signalization at County Trunk Highway MM and McCoy Road. So if you have any interest in that, just go to the city website and you can zoom into that meeting, or if you have any input that you want to provide. As Julia said, we did a update to the council last night for the committee of the whole meeting on the Town of Madison update. That's getting closer and closer when the annexation agreement is final. That's October 30th of 2022. So there's lots of analysis and work that needs to be done. The City of Fitchburg team is meeting with our colleagues in the City of Madison quarterly to try and put the numbers together and also have specific expertise area teams working, like the public safety folks, the assessing folks, on how those transitions occur as we get closer and closer to that October 30th, 2022 date. We had a Zoom call or meeting, I know Julia was in on this one, to look at possibly how we would launch the South Stoner Prairie Neighborhood Plan process. That's one of our future urban development areas, but it's outside the urban service area, so it has to go through a neighborhood plan process first before we would be able to go forward to CARC-C for an urban service area extension request. So we just had a kind of an internal discussion about how we could approach that. It's one of those situations, kind of like when we did the North Stoner Prairie neighborhood, where we wanted to move forward with it, but we didn't necessarily have the resources and the funding. So we're trying to come up with some options and ideas of how we could partner with some of the landowners of the private sector to launch that process, because it's probably a good 18-month process to get through that, and then another 6 months to go to CARC-C for an urban service area request. Then on the vaccine front and COVID, Thad at Fitchburg Family Pharmacy there has just done, great work with being a vaccine provider here in Fitchburg. Our public safety team have been sending their crews over to his pharmacy to get vaccinated, and he continues to work with us as the different tiers are rolled out as far as who qualifies for the vaccine. And then Promega has also become a vaccine provider. If you see a lot of Madison police cars here today and probably tomorrow yet, they are vaccinating the Madison Police Department, and then they'll be vaccinating their on-site employees after that. Let me see, I think that covers everything. The last thing after this meeting today, I'm gonna zip up to the new hotel that's in the city of Madison, the Hotel of the Arts, the Baymont Inn and Suites, up there off of Coho. They're having a kind of a grand opening and open house, and we had received an invitation to stop by there. They're following the health protocols, but I'm gonna stop up there and just take a tour and see what that property looks like and what it's all about. That's all that I have.
Any question for Mike?
I just want to say it's hard to believe it's been 20 years since we started working on Town of Madison, Mike.
I tell you, Joyce went back in the archives and she actually pulled out the photo of the signing ceremony with Mayor Bowman, Mayor Vivian, and Town Chairman Campbell. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have some time, you can maybe take a look at last night meeting, because we need to hire a lot of people. Staffing is going to be one of the biggest cost in the annexation. Plus, we don't know the condition of the infrastructure yet. But there is a good report, and Joyce took a picture about businesses, housing. We are gonna, I think it's like 95 businesses, they're gonna stay in our side. So yeah, so it's gonna be a very challenging for the city next year with the annexation but also, you know, it brings a lot of land, you know, vacant land, access to the bell line, you know, there's gonna be opportunity too. So that we need to see the whole picture, not only concentrate on all the expenses, you know what I mean, but what are all the opportunity that area is gonna bring to the city, so.
And Julia, I'll send out that PowerPoint presentation to CETA members.
Okay.
Just 'cause I think it does give a really good, Joyce did a great job taking pictures of all the businesses, the residents, the apartment buildings, not the residences, not the residents. And it gives a good visual overview of kind of what's there and the properties that are coming to Fitchburg. So I'll send it out to this group so you can see that too, because I think it's going to involve us in the future from a housing stock perspective, also working with the businesses, and then that's supposed to be and envisioned to be another fourth neighborhood for the Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative as well. So we'll be fully engaged along, you know, with other departments here at the city in that neighborhood as it comes to Fitchburg and then going forward there.
Mike, can you give us an update in the Promega facility on the west side?
Yeah, the manufacturing facility there. Yeah, it's progressing, you know, very well. It's an attractive, you know, manufacturing facility. That one, I think, has some of the GMP rooms and clean rooms and everything in there. And I know our fire department and building inspection have been over there multiple times, you know, as the construction progresses and continues. I think the kind of the opening, or let's say launch date of that facility is kind of this summer, maybe June of 2021. But that's going to be another great facility and provide additional production capacity for them as far as their operations here in Fitchburg. And I think you'll see a lot of activity going back and forth between their campus here at Fish Hatchery Road and Lacey to the manufacturing facility and back and forth there. So another great project working with them. And then they are continuing to do some visioning for their USONA Institute, the nonprofit. So we're waiting to kind of hear more about their future plans for that entity and operation.
But one question about that entity, because it's a not-for-profit, I don't think that they are gonna ask for any TIF money.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, other question is, you know, that the council approved the funding for the rent-to-own pilot program, you know, for the consultants. Do you have any idea when we are gonna see like a first draft, something like that?
Yeah, we're not gonna launch that, Julie, until April.
Okay.
Working with Mike Harrigan. Joyce has been in contact with Mike Harrigan and Steve Applebach, and just timing wise, and because we're kind of building up to when we would have money available, with the extension of the TIDS by 1 year and the capitalizing of the housing fund with more significant dollars there. So one of the things that we're doing is kind of launching it in April, because then they want to make sure that the data is as fresh and as current as we move into when we have some money available. And as part of their RFP, they're even including kind of a data refreshment probably early in 2022, just so that way we get the most up-to-date and current information. But they're excited about working with us, and I think we and the Housing Committee and CETA are all excited about looking at this pilot program for them. I was in communication with the Viridian folks about Crescent Crossing. They're just, here's a housing price cost perspective for you. The new single-family homes that are going up at that Crescent Crossing, I think they start at like $329,900 there. And then the twin home townhome units, one is at $299,900 and the other one is at $294,900. So that just gives you and that's probably the most affordable new construction here in Fitchburg. So it just emphasizes, again, the cost of construction and the challenges that we have with housing affordability here in Fitchburg. So I think this pilot program is going to be a great exercise and hopefully lead to a development that can become kind of a prototype and a model for us to try and launch and then replicate in the city in various locations. We also continue to get lots of inquiries for multifamily rental or sites for multifamily rental housing. We get them from in-state, out-of-state, and so we keep emphasizing to people that we're really looking for a balance of kind of ownership to rental in our neighborhoods throughout the city. But even with all the multifamily rental construction we've had and that continues to come, there's still, more developers and demand for sites for that housing product as well.
Okay, my other question is, that we expanded tax incremental district number 10 last year. What other development are coming there?
You're talking Fish Hatchery Road now, right?
No, 10, okay, no, 10 and 13, if you have any update.
Oh, okay. Tax increment district number 10 is Fish Hatchery Road. We've got some good stuff still happening up there right now. As far as if you haven't driven that corridor lately, Park Bank is really taking shape there at the corner and is going to be a great kind of entrance to Fitchburg. The former juice plant site, the 157 unit market rate apartments and 10,000 square feet of commercial, it's called Terrace Point, that Mike Thorson and Ned Hoyt from Adventure Capital are doing, is really taking shape up there, and that's scheduled to have occupancy in June of this year. We continue to work on some visioning for some more specific sites, and I've been in conversations with our regional managers at the WEDC, the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, about seeing if we can qualify for what they have is referred to as the Community Development Grant Initiative. So they're having a meeting in the middle of February to see if we can qualify for some grant dollars that would be more, not corridor visioning, but kind of site-specific visioning up there, that we could put together some concept plans of either some infill development with some of the vacant land that's up there, or maybe redevelopment of some of those existing sites. So in the case, an example of that could be with the closing of the BP gas station there, with the Quick Trip acquisition, that closed, but the real estate up there is staying with the Bowman family. So we're hopefully going to be kind of collaborating and partnering with them of what could be a redevelopment of that property going forward. So in the case of this grant money, we could maybe use that to come up with some concept plans of what a redevelopment could look like on that property there. So I'll know more probably the middle of February. If we were successful with that, there is a matching requirement, but we would go forward to the city council for a request through tax increment district number 10 up there. So I'll keep you posted on that. And then we continue to market that area to some of these developers who've had inquiries, especially that kind of southeast post and Fish Hatchery Road, where there's a lot of vacant land for infill development, and then also where we extended Oshala Drive there to the east, just south of UW Credit Union. There's that land back there that's part of Avalon, and then also some Bowman property between Fish Hatchery Road and Index Road. So we continue to kind of market those areas. Shifting over to TID 13, which is in the Uptown neighborhood, and where Phoenix located their headquarters in the other building there. I'm hearing that there will probably be one or two more apartment buildings coming forward over there. I think that Avante is working on. One is going to be called, I think Falcon is going to be the name of that one. So they're working with the Planning Department of Public Works on the details of that next building. Since that's smart code, that's handled administratively over there. So Sonia and Lisa are working with them on the details of that project. The other one that's coming there is right north of Lacey Road, kind of would be northwest of the roundabout as you enter Uptown over there, is a senior housing development called Limerick over there, that North Point development is going to be doing. And I want to say there's 100 affordable senior housing units, and then I think there's 30 affordable multifamily townhome units over there. So North Point Development is going to be starting on that soon in that area as well.
So,
Still marketing to the other one I'll just mention, you know, because we've got a tax increment district that is just kind of sitting there, and we've been talking here internally. I'm talking now the Cleanfill site, the Fosside property between Highway 14 and MM. We had created that back at the end of 2017, early 2018 for that proposed concept from Randy Alexander for At Edge Live Work. And then he didn't move forward with that. So we had a tax increment district approved and in place, but we've been talking here internally that if we don't find kind of a project and a concept to come forward for that area, we might be better off just closing out that district and kind of absorbing the $40,000 to $50,000 that it cost to create it in the first place. And then we would start over again when we had a developer with a viable project with a new tax increment district. Part of the reason for thinking of closing that one is, you know, with TIDS, the important thing is the benefit of time and the number of years. So the longer the clock keeps ticking there, where we don't have a project moving forward and we're not generating, you know, valuation and increment, it hurts us long term with the viability of a tax increment district over there. But we've been marketing that site to a couple of different entities, but so far nobody has come forward with anything specific. And then, Uli, I'll just mention lastly, because this might be of interest to people, the city administrator recruitment will be starting. There's a personnel committee meeting next week, Tuesday, and that'll kind of define the process. And then it's my understanding that the position will be posted starting the week of February 8th. But if you have a chance, out online, if you go to the city webpage under city news there is a survey that's available for residents, businesses, staff to fill out as far as kind of characteristics, traits, and things like that that you'd like to see in the next city administrator. So if you have a chance, our HR department posted that, and they'd like to get as much input and involvement as possible as we proceed with that process.
Any other question?
Mike, good morning. This is Norma. Where again can we find the posting, the survey, excuse me, and the website, city website?
You go to the city website on the front page there, and then in the middle where it says city news, there's multiple things that are posted there, and one is the grant program for the H&I, and then there should also be a survey for the city administrator recruitment, a link that you can click on there.
Wonderful, thank you.
Sure.
Any other comment? No?
No, I don't have anything else unless anybody has any questions.
Do you have any about update for the city hours and appointments? I know that people are still paying the property taxes and they need to do it by appointment.
Yep, we're continuing. All city buildings are still closed and we're operating by appointment only at this point in time. So if people need to reach city staff, you know, they can go through either email or the various direct line phone numbers for the departments. Most city staff are working remote still at this point in time. There's public works, clerks, finance, are some of the people in the PAC TV have been some of the folks that have been regularly coming in. Joyce has been helping with property tax payments with the finance department. So thanks to her for helping out with them during this busy time. But it seems to be working. We haven't received complaints, I don't think, from people as far as being able to access city staff or take care of business here. So we seem to be keeping everything moving forward, and we've been operating pretty successfully even internally and then with external partners utilizing Zoom meetings to keep projects moving forward.
Okay.
And we'll send you the PowerPoint from last night. And if I get any good information from my hotel tour here of the Hotel of the Arts, the Baymont Inn and Suites up there on Coho, I'll forward that to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Julia, can I
yes.
just mention something quick about tax collections?
Yes.
Just so people know, if you are planning to pay online with a credit card, that tonight at midnight, that portal will shut down. So you need to do that by midnight tonight.
Talking about community, I want to tell you that we are moving forward with the building of the inclusive playground in Mckee Park. So there is, it's a partnership with private and public funds. So there is, there is a group of people. The Fitchburg Optimist Club is leading the fundraising event effort. So there is a website. If you want, let me know. I can send you the link if you want to donate money for the inclusive playground. So I think Parks is working in a proposal for the design this coming spring. So it's not going to come through this commission, but if you are interested about that, let me know because I am very involved with this park. So the idea is to start building maybe this year in phases.
Julia, are they collecting donations here at the city for that?
No,
or is it only online?
It's online, yes. We have a link and we have also, people can also send a check to the community, Madison Community Foundation under the name Inclusive City of Fitchburg Inclusive Playground. They can do that too.
Okay.
So we have that, they can do it, by credit card or by check. Also, they can send a check to the Fitchburg Optimist Club too. There are several options, so, yes. Mm-hmm.
And for CETA members for our March meeting, just looking forward there, Julia's helped to coordinate with us with the new president of Mad Rep to join us for that meeting. So we'll have Jason Fields, the new president from Mad Rep, part of the March meeting introduction and update from him to start to develop that relationship.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's 8:25. We are, half an hour early. So any other question?
Julia, on
Yes.
the agenda, isn't there a report from Jennifer on the Housing Advisory Committee?
Oh, the housing. Okay, sorry. I thought that Mike already did that when he talked about housing. Okay, Jennifer, any report?
Yeah, hi. So we were joined by Lori Heineman, who is the president of the Madison Development Corporation, to discuss workforce housing in Dane County. She shared some information that Dane County was doing and some funding. And one of those funders included the Economic Stability Council of Dane County. And that was made of local employers and funders. And they've raised about $11.8 million or $11.8 to seed this funding. This is focused to provide housing for the missing middle class. And she shared some ideas of how Fitchburg can use this funding. And then we also had a presentation from Sonia from zoning. She presented and discussed two outstanding action items from 2019 housing plan, which includes ADUs and alder participation in the development process. We also discussed some feedback on ADUs and how that could look, with some information from Brian Mckee as well. Sonia identified some policy items that need to be vetted and some alder involvement in development process that was discussed. Sonia, Mike, and Joyce are meeting to discuss this a little further. Mallory Gorman, who is part of the housing committee, also discussed that her family in Milwaukee has a rent-to-own project, and she's going to be giving us an overview of how that could look with our city here.
So, question about the ADU. So what is the plan here? Joyce, you and Sonia are gonna talk more about that, and they're gonna bring something to council for approval. What is the plan?
So, based on our discussions, most of it's policy decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's gonna be taking that back, I believe, to the plan commission for feedback. And then, then she will be, I guess, moving things forward as needed.
Okay.
I guess, Julia, she put together some, notes for us that are gonna be included in the Housing Advisory Committee, in their minutes. So
Oh,
you might
okay.
you might just wanna take a peek at that and see what her action plans are.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Jennifer, you did a great job.
Mm-hmm. Any other question for Jennifer? Okay, so Mike, have we talked about all these, topics under your agenda, city in motion, development update, venture debt?
I kind of covered it all in mass, Julia.
Okay, okay,
Across the board.
okay. Okay, so any other announcement?
Just a last reminder, I know Wade already mentioned it, but if anybody's interested in applying for the Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative grants, the deadline is February 22nd, but the grant cycle is open right now. So if you know of anybody, please encourage them to go to the city website and look at the parameters and submit an application.
Okay, so I think I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
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 The motion is adjourned. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
See you in
everybody.
a
Have a
month.
good day.